Britain's Conversation with Tom Watson.
When I worked for the Engineering and Electrical Union, the first thing they taught you is that you have to compromise in any negotiation. It takes both sides to come together. Well, today you've seen the trade unions through the TUC and businesses through the CBI declare we are in a national crisis. We need a new compromise over Brexit. That means Remain MPs and Brexit MPs have got to reach out across the divide in the national interest. Now, that's why, unlike Nigel Farage, I'm going on a march tomorrow. I'm going on the Put It to the People march to say to Theresa May that I'll help her get her Brexit deal over the line if she gives you the right to consent to it. You know, millions of people voted for Brexit. Many more millions of people are going to be impacted by Brexit. Their jobs, their families, their communities, their public services. They're going to be deeply affected by this deal. And we've had 1,000 days of Brexit crisis and failure. It's time for a new solution. The PM is saying she wants a compromise, but earlier in the week she insulted MPs on both sides of the House, those MPs that she needs to get this deal through. So I really don't know what the future holds. But I do know this. I honestly think now only a public ballot on her deal, whether she does a deal with the other front benches or not, will break 1,000 days of Brexit deadlock. So I'm going on this march. Am I doing the right thing? Or do you think it's a waste of time? Telephone me on 0345 6060 973 or text 84850 or tweet me at LBC. I'm going to take the first caller tonight. Stewart from Farnham, you're very welcome to LBC. What do you think of the march, Stewart?
Hello, Tom. Good to speak to you. I'm going on the march tomorrow. I think it's important. People died for our right to go and protest, to march, to have our say. My heart tells me to go on the march, but my head thinks it's going to make no difference. But I'm going to go anyway.
Why do you think it won't make a difference?
I think Theresa May's decided what she wants to do. I think she decided a couple of years ago what she wants to do. I think the Tory party won't let it happen, won't let there be another. I mean, they're so determined that the Brexit has to happen, that they just won't let there be another referendum. But I agree with you. The people should have their say. But
so you think Parliament has failed, and that the only way we could get over this is letting the people consent to whatever the deal Theresa May gets? You don't think MPs can sort of reach out and find a compromise between them?
No, unfortunately, don't. I think the sad thing was when you saw Jeremy Corbyn walking out the other day because Chuka was there, just showed that there's no appetite to speak to compromise. There are MPs, there are good MPs like yourself that are willing to compromise and do the right thing, but I don't think there's the will in the House to compromise.
It's certainly hard because it doesn't seem there's a majority for any deal in the House. I mean, that's why we've reached this kind of impasse. Although there are MPs trying to reach out to each other on different deals. You look at Nick Bowles and Lucy Powell. They've got their scheme they call Norway Common Market 2.0. And it's possible that they could get a deal, but you're right, Stuart. Well, just looking at it, it seems to me the only way this will work is if hardcore Brexit MPs give a little, hardcore Remain MPs give a little. They meet in the middle. They find a way of giving Theresa May a deal if she gives the people the right in a ballot to decide whether they want it or not. And that's what tomorrow's about. And I think your voice will be heard. And if I see you on the march, come over and say hello to me, Stuart.
I will do.
Okay. I've got Kira from Southwark. Kira, welcome to LBC. What do you think of the march?
I'll be on the march tomorrow. I just want to say thank you, Tom, for wanting to come, because I've been a member of the Labour Party since I was 14, so I'm 18 now. And actually, I couldn't vote in the referendum. I was 16 at the time. And since then, the government clearly haven't listened to what young people, like our concerns and our values. And what you want seeing with the Brexit deal, like we just haven't been listened to at all. And for the Labour Party to be taking a stance on the people's vote, I think it's really important. Like, I've been one of the students that's been supporting it almost since day one that it's being announced, because it's clear that what's happening in government isn't working in the best interest of the country. So for people in the Labour Party to come forward and say, yeah, we recognise that this awful austerity that a hard Brexit would give this country isn't in line with our values, I really appreciate. I just hope that more people in prominent positions in the party are going to come tomorrow. I mean, to see like people that I support there, I think is fantastic. So I just want to say thank you, really.
Thanks, Kira. You know, what made me decide to go on this march was my 10-year-old who said to me that it's her future, not Theresa May's. And I'm doing it for her, and you're doing it for your future and your generation's future. But let me ask you this. What happens if we have a public ballot and people vote for Theresa May's deal?
If people vote for Theresa May's deal, then, well, first of all, I don't think people will. I don't think there's the appetite for that. But ultimately, it gives that validation, and it allows people to know what we're voting for, in the sense that we know definitely this will happen, as opposed to having a vote based on probabilities and what and ifs and mights. If people do vote for Theresa May's deal, it gives people that power to have that say. But ultimately, I just feel that people are actually quite sick of this in this country. And actually, a lot of people voted to leave the EU on a basis that they were sick of being told what was right, and they'd felt the effects of austerity. And actually, I completely get that. But ultimately, we've hit the point in this country where those in power aren't being able to sort of come together and find a solution through this, find a way that works. And so I genuinely don't think that people would vote for May's deal, because it's a silly mix of compromises that, frankly, isn't in the interest of anyone. I think that's quite clear at the moment.
But if they did vote for it, to you, you'd understand that that's the end of it. Brexit is done.
If they did vote for
We've
it,
got to move on.
So that's what would happen.
Yeah.
And there are divisions in this country that wouldn't particularly heal, but it would be a way forward. And the idea that we ourselves have that power to vote for it, and I'd be able to cast a vote having spent the past year of my life able and eligible to have a vote, and yet not being able to have any control over what's happening. If people did vote for it, then it is finite, because it's laid out in a document, and people can understand it and understand the effects, which I think is different, obviously, to the first time where it was ifs and buts. So yeah, I think there are divisions that wouldn't be healed in that sense, but it'd be a way forward. Okay,
Kira, thank you. Come and find me on the march if you can see me tomorrow. I'm going to go to a few texts now. So, Mr. Watson, you want to disenfranchise 17.4 million people and blackmail a Prime Minister to support an undemocratic organisation? From Jamie. You see, there's your problem right away. You're trying to find a compromise. I don't like Theresa May's deal. I think it's lousy. I don't think she's a deal maker. I think we could have got a better solution. I still think she could get compromises through. But I'm saying I understand we need closure on this. I'll help her get a deal over the line if she gives the people the right to consent to the deal. It seems to me that's the only way we're going to bring Brexit voters and Remain voters together. We all have to compromise. And so I'm sorry, Jamie, if you feel angry about it, but we've failed on this for nearly 3 years now. We've got to find a new solution. Another text message: why go on a march? We need just to get out of the EU. We've had our say and it was out. That's from Mary in Holloway. Mary, I know that, but it's the manner in which we go that needs sorting out. That's why the deal is important, and no, there isn't a majority currently for any deal. And then someone says, is that Labour policy, Tom, to have a second referendum? Neil in Swansea. Neil, we've had Brexit never-endum for the last 3 years. What we actually need is to break the impasse. And if Parliament can't decide on the solution in a meaningful vote, then it's Labour policy that the people should decide. And that's what I'm saying now. Now, I've got one more call from Kelly in Hull. Kelly, what do you think about the march tomorrow?
It's not going to make an absolute bland bit of difference to any of us mere minions on the street. Them lot in Parliament, I'm really sorry, but they've behaved abhorrently. They should have all got together and gone to the EU stronger and united to have got a better deal, but they haven't. They've just been fighting and squabbling. I want this and I want that. It's just a disgrace. They just do not care about any of us.
How did you vote in the referendum?
I voted leave.
And do you want a hard Brexit, or do you want Theresa May to get a deal through?
No, I do not want Theresa May to get this deal through. I've been listening to Mr Farage, and he's explained that it's a treaty that basically we're more or less that it's more or less like being in the EU, but we're not going to have any say or any control over our laws. That's not what I voted for. I knew quite clearly when I voted in the referendum that I would be voting to leave things like the single market, the customs union, and to end freedom of movement and so forth. I didn't vote to more or less stay in the EU but have no control.
What about all the fish processing plants they've got near you and in Grimsby that are exported around the world? What happens if there were tariffs put on them that put the price up by 10% and everyone in East Hull lost their jobs?
Sorry, in East Hull?
Yeah, you're from Hull, aren't you?
Oh, yes, sorry, yes. Well, to be honest, to be fair, we could put tariffs back onto the EU. I don't want to sound sort of thingy about it, but you could just go tit for tat. If they want to put a tariff on us, we could put one back on them. I'm sure the EU don't want to go down that route with us. They've got 39 billion reasons why they could strike a good deal with us.
I know, but you've got massive food processing interests in Hull. We've got to get into the European market. If we're not in a single union or in the customs union or a single market, there will be tariffs on the goods we export. There's nothing we can do about that, and that could cost your neighbours their jobs. Which bit of Hull are you from?
I'm from quite a decent area, Tom. I'm all right. I'm from the east side, luckily. I mean, to be fair, I understand that, but on the same time, being in the EU with the freedom of movement, because Hull is so cheap to live in comparison to the rest of the country, we have had a massive influx of unskilled, low-paid labour from Eastern Europe, which has depressed wages, kept them down. It's put a big strain on our health service and on the schools, and a lot of people who are poor and have felt the pinches of wages being depressed, of course, have voted leave. That was one of the key factors in our area. It was about a 67% leave voter.
Okay, so Kelly, I can tell the old maxim is true. It's still never dull in Hull. You're listening to Tom Watson on LBC. It's 6:16 and time for the news headlines with Lisa Aziz.
It's understood Downing Street is considering allowing MPs votes on 7 different options on Brexit next week. 2 men have been arrested after 5 mosques in Birmingham had their windows smashed yesterday morning. Humberside police think it's possible Hull University student Libby Squire was killed. LBC weather, rain moving southeastwards through tonight, some frost in the north of England and Scotland, a low of 1 degree.
LBC Travel, I'm Dave Goff. In Upper Edmonton, the North Circular Road eastbound is closed because of an accident after the 4th Street Tunnel. There are long delays with queues from the Coney Hatch interchange. There are also long delays on all the approaches to the Hanger Lane Gyratory because of a police investigation that continues. That means there are queues on the A40 eastbound from the Denham roundabout, on the North Circular southbound from the Harrow Road underpass, and northbound from the Chiswick roundabout. There are queues on the A2 eastbound. A lane's blocked because a van's broken down after the M25 at the Darrenth interchange, and it stays slow on the M25 anti-clockwise from Cobham services to Junction 8 for Reigate after a car broke down earlier on.
This is LBC.
Oracle Cloud helps organisations everywhere build their tomorrow today, like the World Bee Project. With bee populations falling, we could face a global food crisis. Oracle Cloud provides new insights into the reasons behind this decline. With Oracle Cloud, the World Bee Project helps to protect pollinators, people, and the planet. Find out more at oracle.com/UK. Oracle Cloud, your tomorrow today.
I'm Peter Jones. I've worked with many businesses. They're all different. So why be shoehorned into accounting software that treats all businesses the same? Sage Business Cloud is different. It fits your business's ever-changing needs, like preparing for Making Tax Digital. With Sage, you're good to go. Business is about making wise choices. It's about being sage.
Be ready for Making Tax Digital. Sign up for a free MTD consultation at sage.com/MTD.
Give your Ford a spring in its step with a Ford Motorcraft service for just £149 RRP. Now easier to book than ever with our new online service booking system. And save £10 on any Ford service when you quote Ford 10. Book now at ford.co.uk or visit your local participating dealer.
Recommended promotional price. Not available with other Ford promotions. Terms and conditions apply.
Now on Lidl Spring Spotters, the mother of the group gets some very special treatment.
With Lidl's Belgian chocolate seashells for £2.49 and a Lini Prosecco Spumante at just £5.99.
Looks like it'll be a day of rest for mums.
If only. Lidl, big on quality, little on price. Subject to availability, selected stores. Excludes NI.
Can I have chemo at home?
It's only suitable for a couple of types of cancer.
When you search one question about cancer, you end up with millions of results which contradict each other. For clear and uncomplicated information, come to Cancer Research UK. Visit us online or give us a call on 0808 800 40 40. Cancer Research UK. Together, we will beat cancer.
With our offers of the week, you get our solid hardwood quality for less. A lot less. But they're just until Sunday at Oak Furnitureland. There's a store near you.
There's a new way to report non-emergency incidents or crimes to the Met Police. So if you've seen or been in a... or you've been the victim of a... maybe your... has been stolen, you can report it online at met.police.uk. It's quick, it's more convenient, and it's handled by the same team who answer our calls. Incident or crime? Tell us online. Metropolitan Police Service.
It's Super Weekend at Lidl with up to 50% off selected products. Get a bottle of Argentinian Malbec Mendoza just $4.29. British cold-pressed rapeseed oil only 99p. And deluxe RSPCA Honey Streaky Bacon also 99p. Lidl, big on quality, little on price. Subject to availability, selected stores, excludes NI in Scotland.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say that to you, but maybe not Mum and Dad. I don't think they would be able to do that.
Really? I think Mum will help us. I spoke to her about it before.
Really? What did she say?
I just think she will help us if she can at the time.
If she can, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. Getting onto the property ladder seems like a million miles away.
It isn't easy talking to your family about money, but it is important. The M word from Lloyds Bank. It's good to talk about money.
This is LBC with Tom Watson. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
Lots of text tonight. Hi Tom. 1. There will never be a so-called people's vote on Theresa May's deal because her deal is dead. 2. The next people's vote will be a general election to elect a new parliament which is better than the one we have now. Regards, Gareth in Derbyshire. P.S. says Gareth, on Brexit, we need to leave next Friday for the sake of our democracy. Well, Gareth, I've got to say, if we crash out without a deal, I think hard Brexit would be catastrophic for this country, and we've got to do everything we can to try and stop that. And that's why I'm saying tonight, everyone on the Brexit camp in Parliament or the Remain camp in Parliament has got to reach out to find a new spirit of compromise. Another text, Tom, should no deal be on the ballot? How about 2 options, leave or remain? And if you decide leave, you have a second choice between May's deal and no deal. That's for Parliament to work out if we get to that point. But for me, you see, when Theresa May said Brexit means Brexit, she said that because she didn't know what Brexit meant at the time. People voted for a notional issue in the last vote. But actually, when we get to a people's ballot, Brexit will mean whatever Theresa May's deal says it is. People will know what they're voting for. They'll be able to consider that. And that's why I think this compromise is the right way forward. I've got Simon from Crewe. Simon, you are very welcome on LBC tonight. What do you think about the idea of the People's March tomorrow?
Hi, Tom. Nice to speak to you. I disagree with it because I don't disagree with people exercising the right to be able to go out and march. I think that's great. I disagree with the basis of having another referendum. And I think particularly as you've described it as being a people's ballot or as a people's vote, I think that's misleading, whether intentionally or not, because it would suggest that there hasn't been a vote before which there was, and I accept the basis that there's more information available now. But I think, well, it's only a small point, but I don't like that it's being labelled as such that people never had a vote. They did.
Yeah.
But also, what would your view be if there was a vote? Would you ask for Remain to be an option, or based on 17.4 million? I know people keep repeating this, but based on a majority asking to leave, do you think having options that give people an ability to leave in a way is reasonable, or should there be a Remain option?
Well, firstly, Simon, I've got to say, I've reluctantly come to this. I was very worried about, the process we took, because, my party, what we wanted was a meaningful vote in Parliament. We wanted MPs to be able to work it out. We've had 1,000 days of failure on that. I mean, Theresa May has sort of put this deal over and over again, and it's not worked. So for me, this is sort of the way you break an impasse. And actually, to get to that point still requires MPs to compromise in a way that they've not been able to do in the last few years. So I'm not sure if we'll get there, but I think it's worth playing for. It's worth people who voted Brexit, worth people who voted Remain saying, look, we now know what a deal could look like. Theresa May's been mapping it out for the last few hundred days. Yes, she might be able to get some changes with sort of working across the other front benches in Parliament. But at the end of the day, the only way you're going to break the deadlock, the blockage in the parliamentary pipeline is asking for the people to consent to her deal. And I know that's difficult. Now, when it comes to what's actually on the ballot paper, of course, that requires further discussions with MPs. But it does seem to me that obviously her deal should be on the ballot paper. And if it's not her deal, then the status quo could apply. And you could have a debate about whether you want a crashing out hard Brexit on top. But it seems to me once you've got a deal on the table, there's a choice. You either accept the deal or you don't. And when trade unions and businesses sit around the table with each other, there's an option on the table that can be agreed to. They can negotiate further, but at the end of the day, someone's got to vote on it, because that's the way you move on. And I think the country's got to move on. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, I understand the point you make. I mean, there's too many that I could speak based on the time available, but I think the fundamental issue was, and I agree that the referendum should have been held when it was. MPs, over 400 MPs, agreed for the vote to take place. I think the issue now, and I suppose it depends on how you view it, but the people made a decision to leave. I feel a lot of what's being done now, and even from the Labour Party side, for a long time have said, no deal shouldn't be an option, we shouldn't walk away from the table. We've not heard that from the EU, and there's a reason why you wouldn't say that going into a negotiation. But I think there's a failure in Parliament. If the vote was 48-52 on the other side, I don't think this discussion would be taking place. Changes are happening continuously within the European Union. People wouldn't be arguing, there's further integration that's actually taking place. We need to take this to a second, because it would have ended. And I think more principally, and I think the biggest concern would be, what would your view be if it was accepted that a second referendum took place, which it is a second referendum, and the vote was slightly to Remain, if that were an option, but the turnout was a lot less?
Well,
how would that bring people together? I think that's the fundamental issue, that people were asked a question that MPs agreed to, and now we think people need to have another choice. I think my concern is Remain and a lower turnout, because I think so many people are disenfranchised by it. That's my concern.
Understand your concern, Simon. And that's why I reluctantly got to this position. But MPs have got to give a little, and I think we've all got to give a little, because the country, what I do know is the country wants this settled and they want to move on. Thanks for calling tonight. I appreciate your conversation. I've got Mike in Newham. Mike, what do you think about the march tomorrow?
Hi, Tom. I think it's a really bad idea, to be honest, and I'm a bit disappointed that you're going on it, because I think The question of the Brexit question really divides people along lines that they don't need to be divided on. I mean, like most people can agree that austerity is wrong, that we want nationalisation of a lot of our industries, and I just think you'll be going on marches with like the likes of Anna Shrewsbury. And Anna Shrewsbury, who's voted against benefit cuts.
Have you ever been on a march before, Mike?
I have, yeah.
Which marches have you been on?
I've been against austerity marches.
Yeah, and you agreed with everyone who was on the march with you then, did you?
Well, I'm sure I wouldn't be walking hand in hand with people who decided to vote to cut the benefits of the most vulnerable in the country.
Well, I promise you I won't be holding Anna Shrewsbury's hand tomorrow, Mike. But,
okay.
But the basic point, you understand the basic point, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, your basic point is, I'm going on a march because I want the people to be able to settle the Brexit issue. I don't have to agree with everyone else on the march on their other issues. You do understand the point I'm making there, don't you, Mike?
Yeah, that's true. And I just think, like I said, I think what's going to be the question, I think, we see MPs getting attacked now. Just think if Remain win, and it wins by a slightest margin, the question is not going to go away. The tensions are going to get increased. And I think, like I said, the Labour Party going on this, especially you as Deputy Leader, I think it's just a really bad idea, and it seems to go against. I think the whole People's March campaign, to be honest, seem just like an anti-Corbyn proxy. That's what I see.
Well, I think it's fair to say that Anna Shrewsbury is against our leader, but I'm certainly not against our leader, Mike. I just want Brexit settled because I actually want us to be talking about how we take the Tories on over austerity rather than doing call-ins with you about people's marches. Great to talk to you, though. Thanks for your time. You're listening to Tom Watson on LBC. It's 6:30 and time for the news with Lisa Aziz.
It's understood Downing Street is considering allowing MPs votes on 7 different Brexit options next week. The choices reportedly include revoking Article 50, holding a second referendum, as well as deciding on Theresa May's deal. In Brussels, European Council President Donald Tusk, he's told reporters this afternoon he's really happy that an agreement's been reached to delay Brexit. 2 men in their 30s have been arrested after 5 mosques in Birmingham had their windows smashed yesterday morning. They're being held on suspicion of racially aggravated criminal damage. Police are working to establish whether Hull University student Libby Squire was killed. The 21-year-old's body was recovered from the Humber estuary on Wednesday evening. LBC weather, rain moving southeastwards through tonight but becoming lighter. Some frost in the north of England and Scotland, a low of 1 degree.
LBC at the weekend. Andrew Castle.
In sport, there's hierarchy, there's structure. You understand what it is to operate in a team, to be good to people, to be bad to people, in a sporting environment, not wielding a great big zombie knife. The solution is right in front of us, and we do not utilise it. Why?
Leading Britain's conversation. Andrew Castle. Saturday and Sunday mornings from 7 on LBC.
With a 2-year unlimited mileage warranty and 2-year UK and European roadside assistance, we're there for you. Even if you're not too sure where there is. Land Rover approved used. Winner of What Car Best Used Car Scheme 2 years running. Search Land Rover approved. Land Rover. Above and beyond.
It's Super Weekend at Lidl with up to 50% off selected products. Get a bottle of Argentinian Malbec Mendoza just $4.29. British cold-pressed rapeseed oil only 99p. And deluxe RSPCA honey streaky bacon also 99p. Lidl. Big on quality, little on price. Subject to availability, selected stores, excludes NI in Scotland.
Some things are never coming back. Like avocado bathrooms, dinosaurs, and fingers crossed, the mullet. But a lost credit card, they often turn up. Thankfully, with a simple tap, the NatWest app lets you lock your card if you misplace it and unlock it if you find it. We're always thinking of new ways to make it easier to control your banking. Search NatWest Easier Banking. NatWest, we are what we do.
MasterCard credit cards only. App eligibility criteria applies.
Everyone's talking about the ISA tax allowance deadline on April the 5th, how time is running out.
But at Vitality, we've got more to say, because our ISAs and junior ISAs have a little more oomph. Invest in Vitality funds, and on top of any returns, we give you bigger and bigger boosts every 5 years, up to 15% over 25 years. Just search Vitality Invest ISA. Vitality, positively different. Capital at risk, T's and C's apply. All tax rules may change in future.
EU exit.
My business.
Plan. Exports.
The facts.
Leaving the EU may mean your business needs to prepare for change. Even if you think your business won't be affected, it's worth double-checking. To help you prepare your business, you can find guidance and up-to-date information at gov.uk/EU exit.
It's time. Time to join the millions of people that meet happy with Zoom video conferencing. With stunning HD video, crisp audio, and instant wireless sharing across any mobile, tablet, or desktop device. But the best thing about Zoom? It just works. So ditch the distractions, join the movement, and meet happy with Zoom video conferencing. Visit zoom.us to set up your free account today. That's zoom.us. Zoom video conferencing.
Thanks to people giving monthly donations, Cancer Research UK are funding thousands of life-saving research projects, so people like Alim can get back to enjoying family bike rides, birthdays, and games of football. As a dad, I understand just how precious those moments are. So, on behalf of all the families that have been helped, thank you. Thank you. See the impact of monthly donations by searching Cancer Research UK because of you. Together, we will beat cancer.
Have you had an operation that has left you with persistent pain around the healed scar? You may feel this pain as burning, aching, shooting, throbbing, or stabbing. At St Pancras Clinical Research, we're looking at a new potential treatment for this pain, which we apply topically. The study will take place in London, and if you volunteer, you'll be paid for your time and reasonable expenses. Find out more at stpancrasclinicalresearch.com. That's stpancrasclinicalresearch.com.
With our offers of the week, you get our solid hardwood quality for less. A lot less. But they're just until Sunday at Oak Furnitureland. There's a store near you.
Tom Watson on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
I'm going on the march to ask Theresa May to give the people the consent on her deal tomorrow, and I'm interested in your views on that. I'm going to take brief calls because there's a lot of interest in this tonight. Telephone 0345 6060 973. Text me on 84850 or tweet at LBC. I've had a couple of texts come in that show my dilemma straight off. First one: I will be on the march tomorrow, Tom, and I'm glad you're attending. Young people are entitled to enjoy what my generation has enjoyed as EU members. That's from Annette in Kent. Second one: shame on you. I hope when Labour wins the next election, we also get a chance to overturn it. It kind of shows that the country is still divided. I still believe we've got to bring everyone back together, and everyone's got to give a little. That's MPs and all of us. But I've got Steve in Exeter. Steve, you're very welcome to LBC tonight. What's your view of the march tomorrow?
Well, I don't think it should be going ahead, Tom. I mean, you've already had a march to try and overturn the result. And I think it would just cause more controversy within the country. What I'd like to know is why you want to ask us, I'm a Labour voter as well, why we should vote for Theresa May's deal or Remain. Surely it should be Theresa May's deal or no deal. How can you ask the voters, as a Labour supporter, to vote for a deal that's been historically defeated twice in the Houses of Parliament by all the MPs?
Well, what I'm looking for here, Steve, I mean, remember, I've come to this point reluctantly, as has the Labour Party. I voted to trigger our exit from the EU, Article 50. That referendum went through. I voted for it to happen. It was supposed to happen next Friday. And that was on the grounds that the deal would be negotiated over a 2-year period. That's what Michael Gove and Boris Johnson said would be easy. That's what Nigel Farage said would be easy. Of course, and there is an argument to say it could have been done better if Theresa May wasn't leading these talks. I think everyone knows now she's not a great deal maker. I think she has very many personal qualities, but she's not a great deal maker. But after 1,000 days, we haven't got a majority for any option in the House of Commons, as you've pointed out, Steve. And so I'm only saying maybe the way forward is for Remain MPs to help enable Theresa May get a deal over the line in return for her confirming that you and everyone else can have a say and consent to her deal. Brexit is what Theresa May's deal says it is. And I know, you know, there's a danger in it, and I acknowledge it, because, you know, in that sense, nobody gets everything they want. But everybody gets something out of this. And at least we get a point where this will be settled, where the authoritative view of the people will actually say, yeah, we're having that deal. No, we're not having that deal.
Article 50, the whole Parliament triggered Article 50, and that stated, if we didn't have a deal, it would be a no deal. You triggered that, and now you're going back on it. Well, and that's why the march you're taking part in tomorrow is not continuous on the Labour manifesto. And as a Labour supporter, I will never vote Labour again. You're a party within a party in Labour. You voted to trigger Article 50, whether it was deal or no deal. And now, because it's getting closer to no deal, you want to try and overturn it, which I think is a disgrace. You can't have it where it's going to be voted either Theresa May's deal, which has been defeated in history. Well, you've all defeated it. You all know it's rotten, against Remain. You know Remain will win. It's a stitch-up.
Steve, I'm not questioning your motives and your strongly held views. Please don't question mine. I'm trying to get us beyond the current impasse we're in. Right? I'm admitted to you. Parliament has failed in this. We should have had a deal.
Yous have all failed.
Yeah,
it's not just the government.
I'm holding my hands up. I mean, last week when Theresa May said all these MPs have failed, she's kind of right. I mean, she should have put herself at the front of the queue, Steve.
Yeah, no,
I mean, she's the one who's failed. But I mean, we are where we are. Right? I come from a trade union background. Steve, what I'm trying to do, I come from a trade union background. I'm trying to find a deal. I'm testing it. I think her deal is lousy. I think it's the worst deal on offer.
So how can that go back to the public?
Well, because what I'm saying to you is, I'll try and get a deal over the line, but I need to take other MPs with me who are never going to vote for a deal unless she gives them something, which is give the people a consent over what Brexit is.
Oh, Tom, come on, look, her deal is basically, everything in her deal, Labour agree with. It's only the next stage of it, the declaration, that's not even legally binding. It basically keeps us in a custom union.
Steve,
the deal is what Labour wants.
Not every MP agrees with this deal. Not even all Tory MPs agree with this deal. Look, if I thought I wouldn't be saying this if I thought a deal would go through. But she suffered the biggest defeat in the history of governments on her deal.
And that's what I mean. You were going to ask the public to vote on it.
Well, I'm telling you.
Remain.
Well, right now, we're never going to get a deal otherwise. And then, then we'll crash out, or then you'll get.
Well, there's no crashing out. I wish you would stop saying it's crashing out.
Well, I tell you what you're going to end up with.
95% of the world.
I'll tell you what you're going to end up with. Hold on. Let me speak. Right. I'll tell you what you're going to end up with. You're going to get her going back to the EU, begging on her knees, and you're going to get Article 50. Postponed for almost, for a much longer period. You're not going to get anything out of it.
I don't think she's going to be there to go back to ask.
Well, there's a lot of imponderables in there. I mean,
I don't think she's going to be going back. I think you know that. I know. I think the whole country knows that.
All right, mate.
But you can't ask this country to vote for a deal that you have all absolutely abolished 2 times and put it against Remain.
All right, just give me one. Give me something though. Right, at least acknowledge I'm trying to find a compromise position.
I think you go back to the people and you ask them whether they want the deal or they want no deal.
All right.
It's simple. The country has voted to remain or leave the EU. That vote's been had.
All right.
The marches you're doing, it's been had.
All
we
right.
either have Theresa May's deal or we leave.
All right,
I can't see why that's not fair enough.
Well, at least I've got you to the point where you think the people should decide, and we're having a row over what's on the ballot paper.
I think you should. I've come around to it. That's fine, but you shouldn't have it as Theresa May's deal versus Remain. That argument's been had, and you know that, and I know that. And if you do that, you will wipe out the Labour Party. I don't think you'll be able to survive from it. I don't think both parties are going to survive from this anyway, whether we stay or Remain. The damage is done.
All right, mate. Look, we're still friends, and I tell you what, I reckon if we'd done another 15 minutes on air, we could have sorted this problem out between us and compromised. But thanks for your call tonight, and thanks for your strongly held views. I'm going to take a few more tweets. The Remain campaign is stronger in than in 2017. Leave are torn between too many options. Remain is surely the popular and democratic vote. Well, I'm not sure Steve thinks that's a good idea. What part of leaving the EU do people not understand? Leave the European Union, all of its institutions. Well, you can see there's a lot of interest in this tonight. I'm going on the march tomorrow. If you think that's a bad idea or a good idea, call me on 0345 6060 973, text 84850 or tweet at LBC. I've got more callers coming in. I'll just read out a few quick further texts. Tom, you seem a reasonable guy. However, I'd like to point out that austerity was necessary due to Labour spending vast amounts of money and leaving nothing. Remember the note, there's no money left. It takes a long time to crawl back money, fella. Best, David from Yeovil. I'm not sure what that's got to do with the people's vote there, David, but you know, what I will say to you is we need a new political economy so that those people that are losing out by austerity can benefit from economic growth ahead. We're not having that debate because we're locked in this stasis of Brexit. We've been doing it for 1,000 days. I want to be talking about how we give our young people homes that they can be proud of, how they can have secure jobs, how we can invest in public services again, how we can honour our health workers who are seeing queues double, people sort of in chronic pain not being able to get operations. We've got to get ahead. Right, a few more texts and tweets. There's lots coming in tonight. What's the point of another referendum when MPs are ignoring their constituencies and the result of the last one? That's from Peter in Lancashire. Peter, I think MPs are doing their best to try and find a deal. Even the ones I think are idiots who I disagree with, they're trying their best. And I've been taken aback by the cross-bench, the cross-party working as people are trying to tease out solutions. And who knows, maybe we'll find that in the days ahead. Final one. Hi Tom, I'm a Labour member and I voted leave. I've changed my mind. I now realise I was conned and our problems will not be solved by leaving the EU. That's from Brian in Wolverhampton. You're listening to Tom Watson on LBC. It's 6:45 and time for the news headlines with Lisa Aziz.
It's understood Downing Street is considering allowing MPs votes on up to 7 different options on Brexit next week. 2 men in their 30s have been arrested after 5 mosques in Birmingham had their windows smashed yesterday morning. Met Police say they are now linking an explosive device found in Limerick to those sent to transport hubs in London and also the University of Glasgow earlier this month. LBC weather, rain moving southeastwards through tonight, some frost in the north of England and Scotland, a low of 1 degree.
LBC Travel, I'm Dave Goff. There are severe delays in Upper Edmonton. The North Circular Road eastbound stays closed because of an accident after the 4th Street Tunnel. The queues start at the Coney Hatch interchange. There are also long delays on all the approaches to the Hanger Lane Gyratory because of a police investigation that continues. There are queues on the A40 eastbound from the Denham roundabout and westbound from White City. The North Circular has queues southbound from the Harrow Road underpass and northbound from the Chiswick roundabout. There were queues on the A2 eastbound from the Black Prince interchange to the M25 at Darrenth because a van's broken down. And it's slow on the M1 northbound. A lane's closed because of an accident from junction 8 for Hemel Hempstead to junction 9 for Redbourne.
Coming up at 7 on LBC, Andrew Pearce.
Theresa May's return from Brussels, empty-handed. She's losing support amongst her own party. Is she any longer in charge of the Brexit process?
Andrew Pearce on LBC.
So I still remember the feeling of walking into my GCSEs. I think the weeks before, I kind of thought good was going to be good enough. But then I remember in the final lesson before the exams, our teacher left notes on our desks. Mine said, if you're going to think at all, think big. And if you're going to think big, think bigger. I was thinking small, but she inspired me to think otherwise.
Teaching. Every lesson shapes a life. As a new teacher, you'll start on a minimum salary of £23,000 to £29,000, depending on location. Search Get Into Teaching.
I'm Peter Jones. I've worked with many businesses. They're all different. So why be shoehorned into accounting software that treats all businesses the same? Sage Business Cloud is different. It fits your business's ever-changing needs, like preparing for making tax digital. With Sage, you're good to go. Business is about making wise choices. It's about being Sage.
Be ready for making tax digital. Sign up for a free MTD consultation at sage.com/MTD.
Thanks to people giving monthly donations, Cancer Research UK are funding thousands of life-saving research projects, so people like Alim can get back to enjoying family bike rides, birthdays, and games of football. As a dad, I understand just how precious those moments are. So, on behalf of all the families that have been helped, thank you. See the impact of monthly donations by searching Cancer Research UK because of you. Together, we will beat cancer.
The world's longest wedding dress had a train that stretched for 5 miles. Pity the poor page boys. For a frock, that's big. But it's not Euro Millions big. This Friday, it's a colossal £24 million jackpot. Euro Millions, amazing starts here.
Estimated jackpot rules and procedures apply. Players must be 16 or over.
When you're done for the day, you can't just lock up your data in a safe. Which is why BT is now offering 50% off when you combine Broadband Essential with added backup and device protection. Because it's just as important to be protected as it is to be connected. Find out more at bt.com/businessprotect. BT. Be there. BT terms apply. Up to 50% saving is the maximum discount available on the BT Business Broadband Essential package. Delivery charges are applicable. See bt.com/businessprotect for full T's and C's.
The 1304 LNER train, Coach C. Taking aunties with cold hands to nephews with warm cheeks in Edinburgh. Remorseful revellers back to their beds in Leeds. Business mums gliding over the Forth Bridge towards a door in Toddlers in Newcastle. And a band heading to London to our group of strangers in a tiny pub. This is us. These are our journeys. This is our LNER.
Conventional attitudes. Majority opinion. Everyday compromise. Now, you can leave it all behind. Way behind. Jaguar approved used. Winner of What Car Best Used Car Scheme 2 years running. Stay away from the middle of the road. Search Jaguar approved. Jaguar, the art of performance.
I know who Charlene married. I know what a flux capacitor does. I know how to write hello on a calculator. And I know how to do the big fish, little fish. But I don't know my state pension.
Find out more about your state pension and how much it should be. Get to know your pension. Visit yourpension.gov.uk.
Tom Watson on LBC.
Lots of tweets and texts tonight. One text: Steve was right, Tom. There is no way a people's vote have remain on the ballot. If you really want to get this over with, support no deal. That's from Graham. Another one from Steve again. Are you actually kidding? The vote should be May's deal or no deal. The vote has already been had on the EU. Tom, glad to hear you'll be attending the march tomorrow, as will me and mine. It's pointless, of course. I presume Jeremy Corbyn will be neither present nor involved. Well, Ian, thank you for sending me that tweet. Unfortunately, it is me that is answering questions tonight, not Jeremy, but I'm sure he'll answer your questions next time he's on the programme. Another tweet: you have no idea how angry people are out there, but we are workers of this country. We don't sit on the M25 drinking latte and discussing whether the people have made the right decision. We paid you to do your job. Out means out. Abigail, I'm trying to bring a compromise position after nearly 3 years of failure. I'm doing my best. I'm sorry you disagree with me. What's the point of a London march when we all know London voted Remain in the first place? It doesn't communicate anything new unless 18 million people march. I'm not sure about that, Paul. I've been on a lot of marches in my time, some good, some bad, some achieved change, others didn't. But I think it certainly brings the issue into the discussion. Certainly the number of calls and tweets and texts we're having tonight has stimulated a lot of debate. And I've got Richard on the line from Shrewsbury. Richard, you are very welcome on LBC. What do you think about the march tomorrow?
Well, thanks for having me on, Tom, first of all. And I think, first of all, I'd like to congratulate you for taking quite a brave step to go on the march. You know, it's in your position, you're going to get a lot of criticism potentially. I went on the first march. I can't make the one tomorrow, but I'm certainly with them in spirit. I think I'm reluctant to think that the march will give us the results directly that we want. But I have to say that we need to almost stall this process as long as we can until we decide what's best for us as a nation, and that is to revoke Article 50. I'll nail my colours to the mast. I'm a staunch Remainer. I work in the automotive industry, and for anybody that thinks that a no-deal Brexit or May's Brexit is not going to have an impact on us and it's going to be okay under WTO rules, they're absolutely living in dreamland. We're seeing the effects of this right now in our industry. We're building stock at our costs. We've got no idea what import and export tariffs are going to do to us. So I would support any activity, including the march tomorrow, which at least puts it back to a people's vote. But fundamentally, we have to get back to looking at the elephant in the room here and saying this is a terrible idea, and why we can't see that as a nation after 3 years, I just don't understand it.
Richard, interested you work in the auto sector. Let me put a situation to you. Steve, who was giving me a hard time earlier, right? He says it should be Theresa May's deal or no deal on the ballot paper. Would you take that, and what would you vote if that was the option?
I don't take those options, and the reason is no deal is the worst of all scenarios for us. There's no doubt about that. To not understand, we'd be buying raw materials in and paying duty on those, and we'd be paying duty on our exports. And you can already see the impact that it's having across the country with the Nissan closures, which is so ironic considering that Sunderland have voted to leave, by such a high majority, when that factory has been one of the most efficient and cost-effective factories in Europe for them. I don't understand that decision at all. You've got the Honda closure, and anybody says that that's not related to Brexit. It's just that Honda are too politically savvy to say that. Jaguar Land Rover, massive redundancies. Automotive is going to be decimated in this country if we go ahead with a no deal. Theresa May's deal is the less bad of two options at the moment, but like I say, the only option that I would be happy with in this scenario is to revoke Article 50, and I was delighted to see the rate at which people were looking at this option yesterday with the petition that's being signed, and there's no way that number is going to get to anywhere near 17 million because there's not enough people online to do that. But it has to be considered, and if that vote can get it to somewhere near 10 million, and I would encourage everybody to sign it, it has to be considered as an option. And I was quite encouraged when I heard on the radio earlier that multiple options are going to be put to Parliament next week. And if one of those options is Article 50, it has to seriously be considered. Somebody needs to stand up and say, this is a terrible idea. What are we doing to ourselves? The rest of Europe is laughing at us here.
But wouldn't you, that would genuinely, if Parliament voted to revoke Article 50, essentially saying the status quo prevails, we're not leaving the EU, that really would be a betrayal of the 17 million people that voted Brexit, isn't it? Aren't we duty-bound to try and bring everyone together and to finally resolve the matter?
Democracy is a fluid state of affairs. We're talking about a decision that was made 3 years ago nearly, where we had no idea at all of any consequences or what this deal involved. We voted to leave or we voted to stay. We had no idea about the problems that we'd have on the Northern Irish border. We had no ideas on the impact that it would have to business in this country. We didn't know what it looked like. So I can understand that people would see that as a betrayal. I do see that. I'm a reasonable person. But what you have to say here is that if it's still the best option for us to leave, then they will have a vote in this. So I would back a second vote, but my preference would be to revoke Article 50 fully. Okay. I don't see the risk in putting this back to the people, and I can't see any other way of breaking the deadlock. It's like you said before, we have to look at compromise here, but ultimately this has to go back to the people. And I really think there's growing momentum to say this is a ridiculous idea, let's revoke Article 50 completely. And personally, that's the only idea, the only outcome of this that I'd be satisfied with.
OK, Richard, thanks for your time. I've been lobbying on behalf of the auto industry over the years. I remember being in Europe lobbying Mario Monti for seed cord investment, R&D investment into that plant in Sunderland, and we were successful. OK, Terry in Crawley, you are welcome to LBC. What do you think about the march tomorrow, Terry?
Well, hello, Tom. Nice to speak to you. I'm not opposed to people marching for anything that they believe in, so I support the march tomorrow. What I wanted to say to you was, I think that they may get a big surprise when they get there, because such is the mood in the country. I think there are going to be as many people voting to leave at that march tomorrow as people supporting stay.
Do you think that, Terry? Because I saw that thing on the telly this week with, you know, you even had the great Nigel Farage on the top of a double-decker bus in the northeast in Jarrow, and there only seems to be a couple of dozen people on the Brexit march.
Yeah. Well, anyway, the thing is, I think it's a good thing that people should march for the things they believe in, but I think they're going to get a big surprise when they get there.
Yeah, and have you ever been on a march?
I went to the anti-war march to try and stop Tony Blair going to war in Iraq. The government didn't take any notice of us then. They're not taking any notice of us now. When the march from Sunderland gets there next Friday, the British people will have left the EU, whether the government likes it or not. I think that is the case.
What do you, just briefly, Terry, before we finish, what do you think about trying to find a compromise? What do you think about Remain MPs giving Theresa May the right to get a deal through if she gives them the right to let the people consent to a deal?
I can talk to anybody on regardless of their views. I don't agree with people lots of times, and I certainly wouldn't denigrate them. They're entitled to what they think. But the people were asked by the government that couldn't decide whether they wanted to leave. They decided to leave. We're going to leave next Friday.
OK. Thank you, sir. Thank you to Stewart, Kira, Kelly, Simon, Mike, Steve, Richard and Terry. Everyone that texted and tweeted, you've been listening to Tom Watson on LBC. Thanks for all your calls, texts and tweets. Coming up at 10, it's Nick Abbott. But next, it's the great Andrew Pearce.
If only you meant that, Tom. And coming up in the programme, we'll be talking about how to look